Good morning. My name is Ashlee Whitaker, one of the curators here at the BYU Museum of Art. And for our little Friday art fix, I wanted to introduce you to a painting in our religious collection that I love called The 12-Year-Old Christ in the Temple. And the painting was created by a German artist named Ernst Zimmerman in 1879. And Zimmerman was, as I said, a German artist. He was in what we call the Munich School of Art. And he painted this painting when he was about 30 years old. And it was his first religious work. And it actually gained incredible acclaim at the International Exposition in Munich that year, so in 1879. People loved his rendering of the subject. They loved, of course, the paint quality, which we'll get into in a second. They also really praised his naturalism and the story, the emotion that he tells through the canvas. So just to give you a little bit of background, this is one of the few subjects that we know of from the young childhood of Jesus. We know that he was born, and then we really don't know much about his daily activities. The interesting thing is that in the 19th century, that was a subject of great interest. The 19th century was a time when people started unpacking the life of Christ in new ways. Scholars, for the first time, would sit down with what we call the Gospels, and they looked at the text and tried to figure out how the life of Christ that had been known for centuries could fit into a historical framework. And so this subject of the 12-year-old Jesus became one that was very popular. They wanted to explore this moment that we know of from the young Christ's life. So we read about it in Luke chapter 2, but Mary and Joseph, as dutiful Jews, they go down to Jerusalem for the Passover. But this year, Jesus is 12 years old. He accompanies them down to Jerusalem for the Passover feast. And as the family departs, they're in a big company of people. They would travel in groups. A mishap occurs. And about a day out, Mary and Joseph realize that Jesus is not in the company. They have not only lost their child in a huge city, but they've lost the child that is the Son of God. Can you imagine the panic they feel? But Christ, he's 12 years old now. He is at the age where he wants to embark upon the study of the law. And so he gravitates to the temple. Think of 12-year-olds that you know. Think of Jesus, that all he wants is to be in his Father's house. And so that is where we come into this painting. We know that Jesus is there for 3 days, and we don't know at what point in those 3 days this is, but we have Jesus here, and he's worked his way into a conversation with this rabbi. We know that he was there listening, but we also know that they were astonished by his answers. He was dialoguing with the men in the temple. And so here Zimmerman has placed Christ with this rabbi. And if we look closely at this rabbi, he's amazing. The naturalism here, you see the wrinkles in his face, his hands there, just the incredible treatment of the skin. Hands are so difficult, but Zimmerman renders them with absolute authenticity. And around the rabbi and Christ, there's different figures, and all of them are responding to the Savior with a little bit different expression. We have these men here on the right who, they're looking down at this precocious young boy and kind of smiling, teasing, laughing. They're not seeming to take him seriously. Whereas over here, we have these men who all show some degree of interest. This man, he strains to hear what this young boy is saying. His eyebrow is arched. Is he skeptical, or maybe he's just really, really intrigued? This man leaning over the back of the rabbi, straining again to get a closer look and to hear what Christ might be saying. This man looking contemplative, sober, trying to digest what this remarkable young boy is saying. So what could they be talking about? The artist has given us the subject of their conversation. And I think this is where it comes to the real heart of the painting. There's a scroll, the Torah is open here on the lap of the rabbi, and on it the artist has painted in Hebrew. These are the opening passages of the book of Leviticus in the Old Testament, where in that first chapter is outlined the requirements of the atonement sacrifice. Let it be a male, a lamb without blemish, offered voluntarily. And here, as the rabbi and Christ are talking, the rabbi points in the gesture of instruction as a teacher. Christ responds with this reception, this gesture of listening, but it's also a gesture of acceptance. We look at Christ's hands here, his palms outstretched, and it's a prelude to the marks, to his fulfillment of that atonement sacrifice. I would argue that Christ knows his mission, and he knows that he will be the fulfillment of the atonement, not just a sacrifice for sin, but he will carry the entire weight of our mortal experiences. And he offers that submissive gesture here. He's wearing cloth that's very different from the people around him. There's silks, there's other types of linen, but here he has a very woolly tunic. He is this lamb without blemish, rendered with that perfect look of innocence without guile that I think is incomparable in depictions of this subject. So Zimmerman giving us this allusion to Christ, knowing that he will be the Redeemer of the world. So we invite you, please come down, take a look at this painting and others in our collection, and have a great day.